I remember my dad so many times over the years taking this old clock down from the mantle, putting it on the table, and winding it, and putting it back. And as he got very, very old, every time he reached for the clock and brought it down, we just all kind of held our breath. He never dropped it, never dropped it. But every time he did it, he would go through the same procedure. And finally, one day, he taught me how to wind it. And anyway, so that's now my job. Dad's gone. And you can't see out here. I don't have the light on right now, but there are always two keys. I only use one. It's the oldest one. And time to wind it. So anyway, just keeps on going. Keeps on going. This clock is, I forgot how old. I think it was, anyway, yeah, it's in the rest of the video. You can look at it. Probably watched it already before you got to this. So anyway, love this old clock. Been in the family for over 100 years. So, all right, get to winding. I'm bringing to you an episode about a clock that has been in my family for a very, 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 very long time. All my dad's life on Cape Cod, I come to think of it, I know when he got this clock. It was in 1984, and he was the one that maintained it, wound it, kept it on time, got people to come and work on it. And believe it or not, they actually made house calls back in the day. And this clock, before my dad got it, and he got it when my grandmother came to live with them in 1984, after my grandfather died. But this clock, I am almost certain, came down through the Robinson side of the family. My grandmother was a Robinson. And I don't know the time, the actual time when it happened, but my great-grandfather died, George Robinson. And when he did, his wife, my great-grandmother, came to live with them in Chester, Vermont. And all my growing up years, when we went to visit my grandpa and Grammy there in Chester, this clock that I'm about to show you was on the buffet. My grandmother had this beautiful big old buffet. You know, it's kind of Art Deco, whatever. And this was right in the very center of the back of that buffet. And I remember being at her house and ticking, ticking, ticking. It was just, I just kind of fell in love with it even back then when I was a little boy growing up. But then, ironically, when I was, the night before we got married, by that time my grandparents were living in a mobile home over in Charlestown, New Hampshire. And I slept in their living room and on the couch. The next day I was getting married to the woman I've been married to now for 51 years. And as I was trying to go to sleep, this clock was on the sewing table right at the foot of the couch that I was sleeping on, and it kept me awake. If you can imagine, a young man passionately looking forward to being married to a sweet young wife and all that, and here I am trying to go to sleep. Believe me, this clock was a distraction, and it was. I have fond memories because of that. Well, last year my dad died, and my mom said, "Well, you need to go ahead and take that clock home now." Now, when it finally happened, because I waited, oh good grief, it's been 10 months now since my dad passed away, and like I said, he was the one who kept it all the time. You know, wound it and take it down from the mantle, put it on the table, wind it up, put it back up on the mantle, which completely freaked all of us because Dad was getting really old, but never dropped it. And so anyway, after he passed, Mom said, "Well, you needed to go ahead and take that home," because she knew my attachment to it. And this is one of the items that, you know, she pre-designated that after Dad passed, I would be the one who would take it home. So I went to do it. Mom was very emotional, but ultimately she said, "No, take it." And so I did, and I brought it home, and I'm so glad. It's by the way, from the time my dad died, and from the time he went into the nursing home, it was never wound. It just sat up there on the clock, idle, unwound, and so forth. So when I got it back to Vermont, and hello, it's returned to Vermont, by the way, because the Robinsons lived up in Randolph, Vermont. And that's where I believe it was given as a wedding gift. This clock is dated from 1882. The pendulum on it is a very special edition. You've probably seen them. Very special edition pendulum from 1881. The pendulum is marked with a date. And anyway, but my great-grandparents were married in 1886. It's my guess, and it is a guess, that my great-grandparents, my great-great-grandparents, in other words, the Nellie Robinson's mom and dad bought this, had it, and then when George and Nellie Robinson got married, they were my great-grandparents, I believe that they gave that to them as a gift. And so it has been in the family for a long, a long time. And I'm very proud to have it. I have been tending it faithfully, just the way my dad did. And I'm proud to have it. I've found one other example of a picture of this online. And that picture shows it as missing some major, well, the two little minarets on the top of the spires here are missing on that one. And I'm so glad that I've got them. In other words, this clock is relatively complete. So with that, I'm just going to turn this around and talk about it. I love this old clock. It's very dear to me, and it's part of our family heritage. And it's not very often that you come across, or that you have a clock that has been handed down through the generations like this. And I'm proud to be the current owner of it, and I plan on handing this down to probably my son when I die. So, all right, let's turn this around, and we're going to look at this old clock. We're going to move this picture because it, really is kind of distracting to the clock. And this clock is in very fine condition. I'll show you the receipts on some work that's been done on it in the last many, many years. And like I said, I'm very grateful that I have the little minarets out there. The only thing this clock is missing are these medallions right here. You may not even be able to see it, but there were medallions. No, you can tell here. And I'm sorry, when it was put on, those way back in the 1880s were put on with horsehide glue. I can tell by looking at the glue, especially on this one, is just very evident that they were using hide glue, which is basically what all violins and a lot of furniture was put together with back in the day. So anyway, missing the medallions, but I think it's still a beautiful, beautiful old clock. And like I said, it's an 1882 New Haven parlor clock. That's what they call it. And it's just a lovely, lovely old thing. I have not cleaned it. I brought it home and wound it, and I've been maintaining it faithfully ever since. Just take this off, and I'm going to show you where I know the date. Right there on that little thing. And I'm not trying to remember. Okay, that's part of the striking mechanism right there. Is a hammer tied into that? I'm not sure. But that little, right there, and that little round piece with a screw in the middle of it, it has the date of 1882. And here's the alarm side over here. And anyway, you got a double key wind, your clock movement and your strike movement. And yeah, love it. Love it. As somebody who really gets into the clocks, this is a treasure. I love the embossing on this. As I said before in other episodes, this generally was all done by steam press. They had a stamp that went on it, and it was with heat, and it impressed the wood that way. Boy, you can tell how dirty this is. It hasn't been cleaned in years. I got work to do. In the meantime, it came with two keys. Both of them fit, and I don't think either one of these is original. I've looked at them. I don't think either one is original. There is no there is no special. I can't remember the name of the little mechanism up here for adjustment. There is an alarm dial here. Again, I've left this setup just very, very basics, and but you can see the reverse painting, a little bit of red there in that one, and you turn it around, and you can barely see it, but that's got a red hue to it, and very nice, all intact. I did not have to rebuild the door on this the way that I did that other New Haven, but lovely, lovely old clock. And as I said, the thing that makes this valuable is not so much that it's valuable monetarily. I don't know how much you'd get for this. I don't know. I've seen, I guess, maybe $250 or something, and probably that's high. Like I said, the thing that makes this valuable is the history, and this been passed down through our family from generation to generation. So, all right, guys. Well, listen, thank you for listening to all this history stuff. I just really, I love this old clock, and I'm sad that my dad is gone, but I'm proud to carry on in his stead and be taking care of it the way that he took care of it, and hope to make you proud, Dad. I love you.